Hey Genderqueer gang. So two topics again this week. One was how do you disclose your identity to a possible partner slash someone you're dating, something like that. And also dealing with sex and body issues. I'm going to talk about both. Yeah, so disclosing your trans identity. I think the easiest way to get around this is to date someone in the queer community or to date someone who's trans. That's my solution, at least. It's a lot easier. They usually understand you better. They usually understand what you're going through. Of course, this isn't true for all trans people. Trans people who are really focused on the binary aren't really a good option for this, since there are some trans guys, well, and trans women out there who are really focused on the binary. And so if you're a non-binary gender, it's going to be a bit of clashing there. But, okay, let's say that you don't have that as an option to date someone who is queer or in the trans community. I mean, that's the option I usually take, because how I do that is that, like, I usually date people I meet through queer friends of mine. So that's a pretty good way to know if they're going to be friendly with you. So how can you let them know that you're trans? I like to, I do the same thing with letting people know that I'm gay. It's just, I let it, just slide into conversation naturally. It's a little bit harder to do that with a trans topic than it is with being gay, because, with being gay, you can just be like, oh, my ex-girlfriend, and then they're putting that together because they're reading you as a girl if you're a trans guy. Let's see, I have an example. I once gave someone my number while I was working, and I knew that they were reading me as a lesbian. So when we went out on our date to eat, or we went to go get a drink, but I got something to eat too, because I'm always hungry because of being on testosterone. So that's how I let her know. It was just I got something to eat, and I was like, man, I'm just like a bottomless pit all the time because of being on testosterone. And then it was it's like a little intro. If she wants to ask more, she could have. She didn't. Also, you can read them and see if they have a completely blank stare on their face or not. She kind of did when I did that one, so that was kind of funny. Just because I'm not really read as trans at all. So that's a way to do it. I don't really know. I mean, don't get too worked up about it, I guess, because if they're not going to be okay with you being trans, then there's no point. That's who you are. So if they're not okay with it, then you don't want to be with them. You know? There's no point in getting worked up about it. I guess another thing you might want to be careful of is if, whether or not telling the person you're trans is going to put you in danger. Let's say you're very, very in the closet, and they might know other people that you know, or they might actually be a physical threat to you. Then if they're a physical threat to you, just do it in a highly populated place. If there's a social threat, and you don't know how they're going to react, and you're very in the closet about your trans identity, maybe evaluate whether or not you're in a place to be dating that person if you're not sure. You can also bring trans things up in a sense of not about you, but just to see how their reaction is to trans things in general. So you could bring up a friend or a media person in the media who's trans and see what their reaction is to just trans ideas in general. Yeah. So let's talk about sex. Any family who is watching this, you should just stop right now, because I'm going to talk about my own personal sex life. That might be a little bit weird, so I'm going to give you a couple seconds to turn this off, because that would be weird. Okay, so sex issues with having a trans body. Sometimes it sucks. Being with a person who's trans helps a lot. So, something both me and my partner have talked about a lot is, being in bed with someone who also has complicated feelings about their body, you know, it helps because you can just be like, yeah, we both feel fucking weird about certain parts of our body, but we really want to fuck. So we're just going to do that. I don't know. Sometimes if I am having sex in the middle of it, like I look down at my boobs, like say if I'm on top, this is getting really intensely detailed. But like when your boobs hang, that's the worst. I generally try not to look at them during sex because it's gonna make me feel weird. So I just kind of try and avoid that area. Every now and then, like touching them is okay. Very rare instances. I never know when it is. Another thing, I guess, like, I don't really touch myself too often because it's really dysphoric. When I do, it's only on the outside. I find touching on the inside. And, like, just, like, go with what your body tells you. If something feels really dysphoric to you, don't do it. But at the same time, don't feel like you should have to hold off from having sex until you have your preferred body. That's a little bit ridiculous. Like, you can recognize your dysphoria and acknowledge it, but then also be like, I still have to live in this body. Yeah, I don't know if that really helps. That's generally just how I go about it. Like, and I'm trying to get better about, like, not wearing a binder all the time. Like, I'm not wearing one today because I also heard that before you have surgery, you should be wearing your binder as often because when you wear your binder, your skin loses elasticity, and then you need the elasticity in your skin during your surgery so that, like, everything heals up, like, really nice and tight. So I'm trying to cut back slowly on the amount that I wear my binder because surgery's coming up in, like, 4 months. Just getting excited. I got off the topic of sex. Yeah, sex. It can be weird with dysphoria sometimes. But don't let it stop you, I guess. I'm just repeating myself. I don't know, if you need to wear your binder while you have sex or, like, wear a shirt, that's okay, but, like, just because you're dysphoric about something doesn't mean someone should never see it. Yeah, I don't know. But if you don't feel comfortable having someone see it, don't feel shamed for that. Again, this just, like, ties into the fact that I said that, like, I find that going to nude beaches with trans people to be really therapeutic, or going, like, skinny dipping with other trans-identified people, because it's just, like, you're all trans, you all feel weird about certain parts of your body, but you're all gonna get naked and have a good time anyways. And that's how I feel about sex. It's a lot more comfortable when it's with someone who's trans. But I guess that's not really ideal for everyone, because not everyone lives in a big queer community like I do. So, find someone who understands body issues, I guess. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm gonna go. That is weird, because now you all know a lot of things about my sex life. So, cool. Bye, Internet.